Hey guys, Carix here with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the Hyperfunction LBX Achilles from Dan Balsenki. This is the first in a sub-series of LBX plow models called the Hyperfunction LBX line, which it has more parts, more detail, and is designed to be more accurate to the way LBX are built in the video games and anime. So to start, of course, we're going to be looking at the instructions, and unlike most LBX models where it's a full instruction pamphlet, this is a full-on instruction book. So with the front page, it's just got a nice little cover with a splash image of what you see on the box. Now on the inside, you can see the runners. In this case, there are actually quite a few, and instead of showing you all the runners at once, it just shows you which ones you use. So it still has the same kind of punch gate runners and full color instructions that are easy to follow and easy to use. As you can see, first you have to build up the core skeleton to which you put the armor pieces onto. Then you build the individual armor pieces that go onto the core skeleton. Even comes with a cloth cape that you would do a little bit of building for that too. Shows you how to use the weapons, and it does of course show you how you can use it with a DQ base, which is sold separately. Also comes with some alternative hands. And on the back it actually has a little bit of a painting guide. Now this is a little bit more useful for the core skeleton than the LBX itself, as most of the colors are there in the LBX. Though the core skeleton is what would need some paint if you want to, but as most people are going to be displaying it as LBX Achilles, painting isn't exactly necessary, but it does give you a little color guide here. And also shows you how you can use the marking seals, which are basically just used to show you which piece goes where, and they're totally optional. You can see the marking seal sheet is here. You have various left and right stickers, as well as a couple of custom stickers like the logo for Tiny Orbit and Little Balor's Experience. Next, we'll break down LBX Achilles, but into the core skeleton. So, be right back. So here we have the LBX core skeleton. This is the base to which all LBX armor parts goes onto. As you can see, it's very small and a lot thinner when compared to an LBX with all its armor on. But as you can see, the core of the structure, from the head, the chest, the arms, waist, and legs. And this concept is not something that is completely original to Dan Balsenki. And it can be traced to what is likely one of the things that Level 5 games took inspiration from when designing the LBX for their games, which was a similar series from the 90s called Metabots, which also involved operatable robots that started off as a skeleton and then different armor parts were put onto them, and they had similar part swapping. Although in the case of that series, the robots were about the size of human children and had individual AIs and personalities. Here we can also get a full look at the range of articulation. So there is a ball joint in the head, a second joint in the neck that lets the head go back a little bit. Arms or the shoulders are on ball joints and swivel in and out. Rotate at the bicep. Have a double joint elbow. Ball joints for the wrists. A waist swivel, ball joint hips, so you can move in and out, as well as forward and back and in and out, or side to side. thigh swivel, a double jointed knee, and ball jointed ankles. Here we also of course have the feature that is present in all standard LBX models, which is the core box. Now in this case, unlike other core boxes, this one is both non-removable and is just a clear piece of red plastic. There was no sticker to apply to there, and that is unfortunate as there is no color guide for painting the core box. And if there was, it would be very difficult to paint all those different pieces. So, now we can start putting on the armor. So the first step is the feet. Now while most parts involve just attaching armor to the body, for the feet you actually swap them out. So remove them on both joints and then take the Achilles feet and plug them right in. Next we'll take the shin armor and the bigger parts are the ones that go on the outside, so that should help figure out which one goes on which leg. Do the same for the other side. You want to make sure that you just line up the joints like so. Next, fold in the knees a little bit. We're going to take the thigh armor, straight it open on the back piece, then the front piece, and if it doesn't fit on one leg, then it means it goes on the other. So that's how you kind of tell which one goes where without needing to use the marking stickers. Oh, I guess I had it right the first time. Do the same on the other side. One thing to note is that most of this is actually layered plastic. So, for example, this blue piece and this white piece are separate pieces, and then for this, there is a separate yellow piece that's inside here. And there are actually only 4 stickers on this entire model. 2 here for the black spots on the thigh armor, and then 2 for the yellow eyes on the core skeleton. Next we'll do the waist armor, which consists of the 2 side skirts. They plug into these joints and are adjustable. Then the front and back skirts. Now these are very similar pieces, so on the backs you can see that the one that goes on the back has a B on it. And the one that goes in the front has an F on it. Then, for the torso, I'll take this back piece and plug it in right there. And take the front piece, and once again, this is all layered plastic. As you can see here, red piece there, white piece here, clear red piece here, and the V is even a separate yellow piece. Then then, for the arms, I'm going to take the Knuckle Guards, plug them onto the backs of the hands. Then, take the forearm guard, place the back piece on, then the front piece, and for these two they're identical, so it doesn't matter which one you put on which arm. And for the bicep armor, you're going to take this piece, which has a straight line, place it on the back, and take the piece with a divot in the middle, put it on the front, take the shoulder piece, and snap it on from above. And then do the same for the other arm. Then take the cape and just plug it in on the back. And for this, it has a swivel joint here, so you can rotate it side to side, as well as a hinge joint that lets you move it up and down. Give a wide array to get a wide array of poses for the cape itself. And finally, take the helmet, which has the most part layering. You can see this is entirely layered, so there's pieces for the black, the silver, the red, even the yellow eyes are pieces of layered plastic. And plug it right on the top. And there you have the completed LBX Achilles. Of course, you also have Achilles Lance, which is fully colored, unlike the version that was with the original one. So you've got some silver pieces for the top and bottom of the lance, and then blue for the middle part. And then the Achilles Shield, which the original version already did a good job on. This does as well. Once again, being completely layered plastic. As for these, there are a couple of ways you can use them, or at least for the lance. The standard way is taking off the top of the lance, plugging it in through the bottom of the hand, and putting the top back on, or doing what I did in the beginning of the video, which was done by pulling off the longer part of the lance. Then for the Achilles Shield, you simply slide it up through the bottom. And because the hands are whole solid pieces, and the Knuckle Guards are just that, you don't have to worry too much about the Knuckle Guards coming off and the pieces falling out, which is an advantage it has over the original Achilles. Also has a few alternate hands, two stretched out hands for dynamic action poses, and then a slightly bent hand for holding the Achilles lance at an angle. For these, you have to, of course, take off and swap the hands, but only comes with one set of Knuckle Guards. So this is a bit more similar to the original Achilles in that you have to slide in the handle, then place in the guard. Also included is this, which is a piece separator, which you can also use to help you apply the stickers. This is quite useful if you make a mistake during the building process and need to take apart some pieces. And for a small comparison, here is Hyperfunction LBX Achilles with the original LBX Achilles. As you can see, the biggest difference is the color of blue used. While the original LBX Achilles used a very bright blue, the Hyperfunction Achilles uses a blue with a bit of a purple tinge, which is a lot more similar to how it's seen in the video games and anime. You'll see it's a little bit better proportioned. Overall, it does have a better joint structure, as well as a better cape since it goes on the back rather than around the neck. But one of the cool things about the Hyperfunction LBX series is that once you build it up, it then acts similar to a regular LBX plow model. So where you can remove one of the joints, or one of the parts, on those ball joints, including the head and the waist. Then swap it with an ordinary LBX. Obviously, the two arms don't really match up anymore, both in color and proportion, but what this means is that if you wanted to, you could hypothetically purchase a Hyperfunction LBX Achilles and get the same amount of customization that you would buying the regular version. So overall, Hyperfunction LBX Achilles is an excellent build and definitely an improvement on the original Achilles. That being said, there are only 5 individual releases in the Hyperfunction line, those being Achilles, the Emperor, Lucifer, Ifrit, and Achilles Deed from Don Balsenki Double. So this isn't a very expanded upon line. And I think there is a good reason why. While it is cool to be able to build LBX in a similar fashion to the show, once it's built, there's not much point to it. As swapping out the armor parts is supposed to be done in whole, to where if you're swapping an arm, you have to swap all the different armor parts for it. And that could be done just as easily by swapping out the arm joints. Which makes me kind of understand why, for the mainline LBX, they decided to forego the core skeleton structure. And it also makes a lot more sense, because if they did that, then they would just be selling different armor frames. So you wouldn't be able to display as many individual LBX. Unless they decide to also sell other core skeletons, but that would just be a bit redundant to have to buy a new core skeleton every time you want to get a new LBX to build and display. It makes sense in terms of the games because each player typically only uses one LBX that they'll customize to their liking, but in real life, since model kit building is more of a collectible thing, it makes more sense to have each kit be its own individual set rather than building everything off of a skeletal structure. So if you want to get a more well-built and more well-rounded, and overall more solid LBX Achilles, then I can definitely recommend this set, though there also is a special edition set that came with an alternate set of armor for the prototype to Achilles AX00, which is something that I'm looking into getting, since the original AX00 release was actually a pack-in with the original Danball Senki game for PSP in Japan. That makes it very hard to get. And if I do get it, I will update on AX00. But if you're going to get into the hyperfunction line, just know that it's a very small line, and that eventually you'll run out and have to resort to going to the main LBX line. So, next time I'll be reviewing the Deluxe Icon Driver G. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check me out on Facebook.com/KRX50. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.